Hi everyone, this is Sharon. Today I am back with a flip through of this prayer journal I completed recently. This journal is a custom request from Colleen, and Colleen had asked for a Victorian style prayer journal where she could store her extensive collection of antique Victorian scripture cards. So she wanted lots of pockets and tucks in here. For the front, I embellished the tie with this vintage pin, really beautiful. And then I tied this up with some sari ribbon. Wrapped that around quite a few times. And then the cover I created from this beautiful old 1800s book. It's got a little bit of embossing on there and a little bit of wear, and it's just beautiful, I think. The back has the same type of embossing on it as the front cover. And as typical, the spine was not quite wide enough for what I needed, so I extended the spine. I kept the original and added onto it with a fabric extension. And I wanted to keep the original because it has this beautiful gold gilded date on there of 1886. So I extended it and I added a label, and then I also added this piece of lace around the front. I have videotaped a tutorial on how I created this extended spine because I know a number of you have asked for that. So that will be upcoming maybe in the next week or so. So as we head on inside, for the inside of my covers, I used a couple of beautiful images from Raindrop Lila's Angel Collection. I have this one on the front with that pretty frame, and then on the back I have this image. As I mentioned, Colleen had asked for lots of tucks and pockets, so wherever possible, I put a pocket or a tuck, and even a lot of my ephemera, I created those with some pockets and tucks and belly bands in mind so that she could take out what she wanted and add in some of her own ephemera. For my spine, I used this French ticking fabric. And then as far as digitals go, I used quite a mix of different ones from different artists. If there's anything you see that you want to know about, just leave me a comment down below. So here I created this pocket with this beautiful angel image. And behind there, I've got some waxed straw paper. I got the chocolate brown straw paper from Rachel at Roxy Creations. And when you wax it, it gets this really deep, beautiful brown color. I really like how that turned out. I just added a little religious metal on there. And then in the pocket, I made this tag. And then on the back, I've got a little tuck. And then I just inserted this little card. A little bit of stamping on the top. I think because this is such a thick spine, I am going to get a couple of books to prop under here. Okay, I think this will work a little bit better for viewing. I extended that pocket to create just a little bit of a side tab there. And then I've got this beautiful digital on this page. And then this is an image from an antique book that I have. I really like that one. Here on this side of the page, I've used this trim for my belly band. And then I've done some stenciling on the page. And then in that belly band, I tucked an antique postcard of this beautiful church. And then I also created this piece. And it's just got a little side tuck on the back. And I added this journaling card for in there, did some stenciling. I just love the way the floral colors match up with this image on that side of the page. This is a beautiful picture. I love that. And I just added a little bit of plum velvet ribbon there and a button. Here I extended my page across to this side and created a little tuck in there. And then that's what the back looks like. And then in there I created this journaling card. And I just tucked in an old French book page. And these are extra sheets that Colleen can do whatever she chooses. She can make things out of them, enjoy their beauty. And here I grabbed this. I've actually been saving this a while for Colleen because when I saw it, it's a old French embroidery pattern, and it's got the C on there. Here on this page, I embellished with a little bit of metallic paper, and then I have one of my favorite religious images here from the Graphics Fairy, this nun. I think I just love the peaceful nature of it and the colors. And then I've got this piano paper and some lace on the back side. Here on this page, I did something a little different. I created these half circle pockets. And then I kind of backed them. They have the same, the page, actually this journal page has this pattern on it. And then I just recreated the tops and glued those down. And I have little velvet tabs on those pockets. And then in there, I put these pretty bird, almost look like ornaments, but they're, I'll call them tags. And this one. Here I created a top corner tuck, and then in there I've got this large card of St. Michael, belly band on the back so she can tuck some of her cards in there. And then I just have these two floating doily images, some writing room on the back. Here for my page I have this beautiful old rag paper book page. I came across a collection of beautiful old antique laces recently, so I added quite a few of those in here throughout because Colleen had requested laces. In that belly band, I tucked this little piece. I've got this plum velvet ribbon that I tied it up with. And that just wraps around and then opens up this way. And I strung it through. I've made these before. I've got a tutorial on how to create one of these. So you've got some belly bands across where you can tuck things in. In this one, I just put behind there almost like a little mini notepad, and more items could be tucked on both sides of that. Here I created a side tuck and stitched across the center, so it created two smaller pockets. And in those, I've got these little cards. And then on the back side, again, I just created some extra tucks. You'll see lots of tucks. And I inserted my own little cards in here. Now, Colleen and a lot of these ephemera pieces can just push in some additional cards of her own or take out the ones that I have in there and just use these elsewhere. Here I created a corner tuck with this beautiful fabric pattern digital, and then I topped it with a piece of lace. And then in there I've got this little piece that I made. I just added this brass brad so I could attach this angel image, which I waxed so you can see the printing through to this Italian book page. On my strings, I just added a couple pieces of lace. Here with this beautiful angel image, I created a pocket, embellished that with a little bit of old fabric. And then in there, I've got this piece. And even on a lot of these pieces where I've got, you know, maybe a couple of layers, again, this would be a wonderful place to tuck in some cards. And then again on the back, I created another little tuck. So Colleen can either write or tuck or both. Let's put that in here. On this page, I love this beautiful paper pattern. And I just created this ephemera piece out of an old envelope that I turned inside out. I added these images that peek through, some faux stamps on there. And then on the back side, I've got this pocket. And I just tucked in a piece from an old prayer book. Here on this side of the page, I've got this wax seal, and I just added a little bit of lace to that. Here I created a top tuck with this pretty embroidered piece. And then in there I've got this plate from a rose book. I just punched along the bottom and then did some stenciling on the back. Here on this side of the page, I've got this, really it's a fabric flip, but I kind of created a tuck spot with it because I added this hat pin with some beads on the side. So that kind of holds it down. There's lots of room in there to tuck more things. In there, I've got this piece. I did some machine stitching on fabric, added that. And then on the back, I've got some embossed paper. And this is an old page from, I think it's a book on the saints. I've also got some music sheets in here from a religious book. Here I use this beautiful marble paper that I've been hanging on to for a while. I think it was a fly sheet or something from an old book that I had. I just created a little tuck with that. And then in there I've got this journaling card, another belly band on the back. Here we've got this beautiful image of Jesus and Mary. And then on this page, I've got this velvet ribbon that I embossed. It's kind of heat set embossing. And then in there, I've got this piece. I've got a little tuck there that opens up. And then inside, I did a little bit of stenciling in there. Backed it with some old book page. And then I just kind of embellished the corners there. I've got some collaging on the back side. And then in there I've got this old French envelope and letter. So I took the letter out and just added a couple of little pretty pieces in there. Some scripture verses. So I tucked that in there, and then I just kept the corresponding letter separate because I thought this again would be a fun little place to just tuck a bunch of cards in here as well. Here I created a corner pocket with this image, and then in there I tucked this piece I made with the velvet. Another little tuck on the side. And then here's a beautiful scripty piece, and I just folded that over so again it would be a really fun place to tuck something. Here I did some punching along the side of the paper. I've got this image of a First Communion certificate from 1925. And then behind there, I just tucked this large piece of paper that I folded. I printed this beautiful, I love these lacy old images from Lorna at Tailor Made Journals. She's got a kit. And this just reminds me of some of the old patterns or laces you might see in a church. And then I stenciled the back. So lots of journaling or tucking space with that. Here I added this beautiful old lace piece, and I kept it open so it could be used as a tuck spot. This old lacy panel, I think I've had at least 30 or 35 years. I found it in an old trunk that I was cleaning out the other day, and I know I had this many years ago, so I just used that as a page. And then here's a beautiful floral image, and I just created this fabric tab. On this side of the tab, I layered some lace, and then this is, I don't know, like a merit pin, like you would see the Boy Scouts maybe would have given out quite a few years ago. It's quite a vintage one. And then on this side of the page, I've got this card that I made. I just backed that with some beautiful floral fabric and some lace. Sort of created a corner tuck on there. This is some old onion skin paper from 1900. Here I created a pocket with this cutout cross on it. And then in there, I've got this piece that I made. This is a page from a religious book. And then in here, I don't remember what I put in there, so let's find out. I tied it up crosswise, almost like a present, so it goes up and down and crosswise, and it's actually an envelope. And I wound it lots of times. Okay, that opens up, and I just kind of left it open, so again, I stitched across the bottom to form this little mini tuck in there. You know, it's another place for some cards. And I just made these 2 tags. I just added a little bit of sari trim to this clip on the side of the page. On this side of the page, I pulled this image from a religious book that I had. I just love the embellishment of it. It looks like some wheat. This I left blank for writing. Here I added an image to this page and just did some decorative stitching on there. And then I created this little kind of paper coin purse, I would say. I added this little velvet clasp, so that comes over and then tucks into that little spot there, and then it opens up. And I just tucked a pretty little piece in there. And then on these strings, I've got a couple of beads. Here in this pocket, I've got another die cut, I guess, across. And then in that pocket, I've got this beautiful old rag paper signature or book page. And then I also have this piece that I made. I can't remember, I wish I would remember who did this, but she used one of these whale tail tabs and just attached it on the front. So it could be used as kind of a little clasp or a clip to hold everything together. And it's just a piece of paper that folds out. I embellished it with some washi tape on the back side. And it's got this beautiful image on the front. Again, I think it's just a versatile piece that can be used for multiple things. Here on this page, I've got this pretty little card with this lace on there. That is Saint Margaret, I believe. Here I embellished with this gold piece in the corner. Here on this page, I've got this beautiful image from Raindrop Lila. I created this pocket with some stencil paste. And then in there, I've got a tag, little side tuck. Added some ledger paper in the back. Here's the other side of that lacy panel. Here I've got this vellum side tuck, and in there I've got this card that I made with the beautiful bird, and I've got this lacy pocket in the back, and then I just tucked in a piece of paper that has a Bible verse on the back. And this is another one of the TaylorMade Journal grungy lacy patterns. And then I've got an old book page that I added there as well. Here on this page, I've got this piece that I just folded over the page on both sides and clipped it on, but again, that would provide a nice tuck spot there and here. This is what the front looks like in the back, and I just wove some sari trim through there. And I put it on this beautiful ledger paper. I absolutely love this. It's got a little bit of a bluish green tint to it. I love this image. On this page, I created a belly band from some antique lace. And then this tuck at the top I made from a hanging file folder. And I just punched the bottom and added some sari silk to it. And then in there, I've got a couple of pieces. This antique French invoice. And then this piece, I've got this kind of belt on there that slides off, and then this is kind of a medieval looking scroll image. On the inside, I've just created sort of a little booklet with some old German book page, some beautiful images. I created a couple of pockets on the inside. And again, on this page, I've got another side tuck. Here on this page, I just did a little bit of stenciling. And then in the center, I used this glassine envelope that is coffee dyed. And I just created this fun little storage spot. And this string opens up. I've got this little tab on there that kind of keeps the whole thing closed. So that opens up, and I've got a glassine envelope on each side that opens, and then that can be used for tucking things. I've got some pieces of ephemera in each one of these that I made. And I just kind of attached those with this pretty fabric. Here I've got a side tuck again with this beautifully stenciled image. Here I've got another top tuck, and I've got the belly band down here so everything kind of stays in place. And then in there I've got this little floating pocket piece. I love this image from Raindrop Lila. Embellished with a little bit of lace, and then in there I just tucked this card that I made. This back to me reminds me of a tin ceiling. And then I've also got an old, I think it's a French book page, French or Italian, maybe Italian. Here I clipped on this piece. More of that beautiful ledger paper. And then on this side, I've got another side tuck, and in there I've got another bird card, pocket, and a piece of ephemera in there, and an old French book page. I think it's time for me to move my props here. Here I created a pocket, and then in there I've got this tag. Love that image. And then the back has a little side tuck as well. This page comes from a bird book, and there's this plate of the bird that's kind of tipped in on this page, and then as well as this kind of tissue paper. So that's kind of all one piece if you're flipping through. Here on this page, I love this angel image, and I just added this ticking ruffle on there with some lace. Here I created a pocket at the bottom, and then in there I've got this piece, just some pressed flowers, and a little pocket on there if you'd want to tuck something in on an old book page. I love this image. This page I made from some printed linen fabric that I got from Roxy Creations. And what I did was just did some slow stitching on there. So where these dots were on the fabric, I created some French knots, and then I did some stitching on the bottom here. And then on this side, I just left most of the stitching exposed, but I added a pocket, this linen pocket, and I just hand stitched that on. So that can be used again to tuck things, and I just added a little bit of lace on there. In the center of the signature, I created these pages using some old vintage French envelopes, and I just opened them up and stitched them together to form some pages and some pockets. And then in there, I've got this card with some side tucks, pretty floral images. And then I embellished with some fabric that's been stitched. Here I did a bit of collaging on the inside. And on these strings, I've got a religious medal and a bead. And then another tag here with some tucking room. And these pockets, a lot of these pockets are quite generous too, so you can also add some additional things in there. Here is the other side of that fabric piece. So again, I did some slow stitching. This is really the back side, but I added these lace pockets, just left them open on the top, so they're fun little places to tuck things. And then on this side, I stitched on some paper images, and again, did some hand stitching. Over on this side of the page, I have this flip out And in here I've got a belly band where I tuck this card. These are made from old time cards. And then on this side, I've got another pretty little image in there. And then behind the flip out, I've got this piece that I made. And I tied it up a little bit different. I added these two brads here, and then I took a single piece of string and kind of wound it around those. So this one comes down, and then on this side, I wound it around, and that comes down. So that just kind of hangs down on each side. And then the back has this beautiful nativity scene. Did a little bit of decorative stitching there. And then on the inside, I've got kind of a document keeper type thing. I embellished with this metallic paper, and then there's some vintage papers in here. And again, I just thought this would be a fun place to fold these and tuck some cards or things inside there. Here's the other side of that bird book page. I created a side tuck on there, added a little bit of sari ribbon, and then in there I tucked this piece. It's basically a folded piece of paper, and I've got this cross clip on the side to kind of hold this together. So these are Heather at Rose Hill Paper Cottage is where I first saw these, but they're so handy to just fold up, and then you create little tuck spots for some cards. So I stuck this one in there, and then on the back side I've got a couple more, and I just stenciled on the back of those, and I lined the inside with this pretty letter image from Roxy Creations. Here on this page, I clipped this piece, and that folds open. I lined it with some old book page, and then I created a top tuck and a pocket for some storage again, and I just added these pretty little floral cards in there. Back those with some linen and stamped on them. I think I'm just about done, but I'm gonna prop this side up again so we can see better. Here I created a side tuck with this book page and added some velvet trim on there, label, and then in there I've got this piece. This is an old envelope again, vintage envelope, and I just added this tulle on there in the front. And then inside I've got this piece where this beautiful pattern shows through on the envelope. And then that opens. And what I did was I took these embossed pieces of cardstock and just created some 4-corner tucks that kind of mimic photo corners. Some old lace on that page. Here I did some stenciling with paste onto the page. And then I've got this wax seal on there with some fabric. This is a page from a floral book that I have. On the inside, I lined the page with this ledger paper, and then I created these pockets, and then in there I created all these little angel tags. I think they're so pretty. Again, these are images from Lorna Taylor, and what I did was I backed them with this waxed straw paper. And then I layered them with this. This is something that's been floating around in my studio for a long time. It's an antique book page, like a fly sheet, but it's got this wonderful old pattern on there. So I just thought that worked well with all of these. I incorporated it, layered these up, and stitched on the images. So that one and this one are similar. And then for these two, I actually waxed the image, layered it with some book page, and then on the back I've got that pretty old paper. And then I just put this all together with a couple of eyelets. This one's made in the same way. Here I've got this corner tuck again with an old doily or dresser scarf, added a vintage button. And then I've also got some stenciling on the back of that page. And then in there I've got this rather large journaling card. And I just created some diagonal belly bands on the back for tucking, and I've got this old prayer book page in there. And then this is just an old French check image. And I folded that up because I thought, again, a nice place to tuck something. Here I've got another side tuck with the velvet. And then in that pocket, I've got this old antique postcard, and it's a Happy New Year, so I thought that was appropriate for this time of the year. And then I've got this little bundle. This lace and string was bundled up in something I got from Jacqueline at Souvenir de la France, so I just left it like that and thought I'd make something to go inside of it. So I've got this pretty tag, and then this piece. And this I just kind of embellished on the bottom. I thought maybe it was a pocket, but it isn't. I just left it like that. Here on the side of the page, I have this old cross-stitch piece. It could be used as a fabric flip, but I put this little clip on the bottom to hold it in, so it's more like a huge belly band. You could tuck some things behind there. And then on this side of the page, I've got another little tag that I made, and I did some stenciling on the back. And that brings us to our back page. And again, I've got a small little tuck up in the corner. Maybe I can get something under there. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that flip through of this rather large prayer journal. Colleen, I hope this is what you were hoping for, and it will be going her way very soon. She's been very patient with me. I thank you for coming along with me today. Thank you so much. And until next time, bye-bye.